From the heartland of America, focused on God, family, and country, the mouthpiece of the Midwest. This is Dale Carter's America.
From the podcast studio in Raytown, Missouri, Dale Carter wearing my Mizzou. If you're watching this, and you should watch it because we have guests on who you want to see their faces. We have clips that we show, and some of them without any audio. We're going to play one of those today that won't have any audio. So if you don't watch it on YouTube or wherever you get videos of the podcast, you miss it. And I'm wearing my very sleek Mizzou hoodie, silver on gray, because Missouri plays Kansas on Saturday in Columbia.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. I know you're not from this area, but that's a big, big deal.
That is a big deal. Are you going to go?
Oh, yeah. So, and my wife, who went to Missouri,
right.
And all of her family went to Missouri, and they do it up big. She's like, if we don't beat Kansas, drive me straight to the crematorium because it's that bad.
Yeah, she does take it very seriously.
Very seriously. So does Bob Watson. Bob Watson's a big Mizzou fan, so he's going to be rooting on the Tigers on Saturday as well. And he roots for you in your insurance needs. He's on your side. He's a friend. He's like a neighbor. State Farm is there. That's in the slogan. And Bob Watson has been my State Farm guy for over 30 years now. He's been a State Farm agent in Missouri for 51 years.
I'd say congratulations.
He'll also take care of you Jayhawkers from the Kansas side. So he won't discriminate when it comes to business, but he's going to root for the Tigers on Saturday. Trust me. 816-229-7878. Call and get a rate quote, bundle your home and car insurance, and you'll save even more. He's the guy I trust with my family's insurance needs, and you should trust him as well. He's proud to be part of Dale Carter's America in this crazy world that we're living in. I kind of stole some thunder on how to get us on the video side. How are all the ways people can be part of Dale Carter's America?
Yes, thanks for tuning in. If you're watching on Rumble or YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button, drop a like, leave a comment, drop multiple comments if you want. I'm talking to you, Mark Zarda. And then...
we love Mark Zarda.
Yeah, no, he always leaves like 3-4 comments. So
he's a Wildcat fan, K-State Wildcats, and they're not even in this conversation. We're talking Tigers and Jayhawks and fight.
Right.
And then you got K-State over there. I kind of like K-State.
I couldn't tell you the
You
first
don't have a
thing
dog
about
in
him.
that hunt.
Nope.
They're just kind of like the blue-collar working man's college.
Yeah.
And they get things done.
That
I'm
makes
sorry,
sense.
I interrupted. Go.
No, it's okay. And then you can find the audio-only podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to follow us on Facebook as well and join in the conversation.
You bet. And, when we talk to you about our sponsors, they're folks who agree with us and want to see a better America. So make sure that if you need insurance that you go see Bob Watson and the rest of our folks as well. The news cycle, of course, is spinning fast. And right at the top, I wanted to talk about the Epstein files because, man, this is soul-crushing. These women who went to Capitol Hill, who have gone through abuse through Epstein, and whoever abused them. I don't care what emerges out of this. Do you? Whether it's Republicans or Democrats? I don't care.
No, of course not. Of course not. Yeah, I mean, I think anyone who is what participated in that should obviously be very...
worried.
Very worried.
Yeah. Shine
but
the bright
not
light.
Because nothing's happening. So.
Nothing, but something may. Here's a little clip from the ladies who are, they have one spokesperson, and they've basically thrown down the gauntlet here.
Transparency is justice. Release the files, end the secrecy, and stand with us in declaring that no one, no billionaires, no politicians, not world leaders, is above the law. And let me announce now, several of us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list of names. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details on that. Because history is watching, and so are the women who will come after us. Thank you.
Yeah, this is important stuff. And honestly, Donald Trump, I think, kind of screwed up. And you pointed this out in either the last episode or the one before that, where during the campaign, he made a big deal out of there's all this information and we're going to release it. Pam Bondi did the same thing. Dan Bongino did the same thing.
Kash Patel.
I mean, name names. Because now they've got the power. And now what's the problem? Where's the information?
Yeah, I mean, more than that, after campaigning on it and talking about it all the time, and in Pam Bondi's case, saying that she has all these files on her desk and, you know, they're ready to come out, and then doing the fake Epstein file release where they had all the influencers with the binders and everything like that. They did a total 180 and said, well, there's nothing here. He killed himself. We have all the information, you know.
And what Trump said yesterday, it just bothered me on the level of being a grandfather of two girls. You know, I had all boys, you know, in my kids, but when you have a daughter, right, you know, it changes your perspective on that. When you have a granddaughter, it changes your perspective on that. And he's like trying to downplay it all now. And he's saying it's a Democrat hoax. It's all a Democrat hoax. And then, you know, he went off yesterday about, you should be thankful for all the things I've done. Look at Washington, D.C. Look at this. Look at that. But this is a hoax. This is a Democrat hoax. Well, if it was a hoax, why did you make a big deal out of it? And why can't we have the names? And there's a message here on this next clip, a message for Trump, who calls this a Democrat hoax.
Come along and speak up so that we can be more of a stronger voice and louder.
And so what is your message to President Trump on this
Listen, I don't want to send a direct message to him. I'm already scared enough. Yeah, just pass the vote. Listen to us. This is not a hoax. Like, it's not going to go away. And like I said on my speech earlier, we're not going to be silenced anymore. We will be speaking moving forward wherever we need to be. We will be, and we need to pass this.
Go ahead.
Come along.
Yeah. If you have any history of abuse or you've seen abuse, and I don't want to get into it, but I have seen it firsthand, up close within my family. It's something that you want to eradicate, you want to erase. So let's get this done, get these names out. These people who did this need to be held accountable, and that's where I'm going to be on that. I will say this for Donald Trump. This video came out. This is the one that's not going to have any audio to it, but he's serious about interdicting drugs. I think this boat came out of Argentina, and we had intelligence on it that it was packed to the gills with drugs headed for the United States. And have you seen the video?
Yeah, it's a Venezuelan drug boat in international waters.
Yeah.
This is the video from Fox News.
Okay, so you're going to see this boat going along, and boy, this is almost reminiscent of the days back in Iraq. Boom!
Bam.
That little boat did not stand a chance against whatever we fired at it because it went down very quickly. So here's my question. I'm waiting for the Democrats because they've got to be on the opposite of everything that Donald Trump is on, right?
Yeah.
So how soon will it be before somebody comes out and says, where was due process for these people? Where was due process?
Well, they're not Americans and they're in international waters. So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not, you know.
I'm just waiting.
Saying one way
I haven't heard anything yet, but I'm waiting for it. Of course,
people misunderstand due process. They think that it's just a blanket term that you can apply to anyone. Due process is for the American justice system for American citizens.
You and I know that.
Yeah.
But I'm waiting for the other side to come out and say that. And I've got a great video later in the podcast about a member of Congress who's been there for 1,000 years who still has not read the Constitution. We're going to poke a little fun at her. So we have a lot coming up, including special guest Manny Abarca from the Jackson County Legislature. He represents the urban core of Kansas City. It's District 1 legislatively. He's a Democrat. We've had other Democrats on this podcast before, and we'll probably have a very lively exchange about things, especially now that I've entered the race for District 5 in eastern Jackson County. So all that still to come here. But first, we want to tell you about Medicare Simplified KC. You know, we talk about things that come from the government that are very complex, very convoluted, and I think Medicare is one of the biggest examples of that, especially with the big, beautiful bill passing and Medicare enrollment coming up very quickly, 10/15 to 12/7. That's your limited period of time to make changes. And before you make changes, you really ought to learn everything you can about it. And Kirk Doris is a guy who's helped thousands of folks just like you, either already on Medicare or about to enroll in Medicare for the very first time. So get the knowledge you need moving forward, and it won't cost you a dime. He gets paid by the insurance carriers. What he's going to do, though, is keep you from making mistakes that can cost you money and a lot of heartache. So give him a call. 816-701-6661. He's at 3600 South Nolan Road in Independence. Either you go to him or he'll come to you. And, of course, on the web always at MedicareSimplifiedKC.com. Clay Como Shooters is back with us. They're in Clay Como, 69 Highway. You can reach them, make the phone call, because, you know, we talk a lot about protecting your family from the crazies that are out there. Crazies who get a hold of guns and go to places like churches and shoot through the window. What we need is an armed population that's going to be the good guys with guns who are going to follow the rules and protect their family. And that starts at Clay Como Shooters. Full service firearms dealer. They buy guns. They've got experienced trainers. They've got law enforcement background and indoor shooting range, affordable pricing. They're not a big box store. They're a neighborhood business that is looking out for this community. Protect yourself and your family. Find the right firearm and then get trained on it. Don't just get a gun and say, okay, I got a gun, everything's fine. Get trained on it so you understand the situations where you might need to use it to protect yourself and your family. 816-452-4867. And again, they're on 69 Highway in Clay Como. It is Clay Como Shooters, and we're proud to have them with us here on the podcast. All right, let's go to Chicago because Trump has hinted that that's going to be his next place that he's going to clean up. And Chicago, what a war zone. Did you see what happened over the weekend? Like 8 or 9 people got killed, 50 some odd people got wounded. I mean, they're just shooting left and right there.
Yeah. It's a shame because we've been to Chicago a couple times recently, and there's some really... I haven't really been downtown yet, but there's some really nice parts of Chicago, just like Kansas City or any other major city. You know, there's nice parts and then there's really crappy parts. So
I love Chicago.
Yeah.
Used to go all the time. You know, I was a diehard Cub fan growing up and living in Kansas City. The beauty of that, if you're a Cub fan, is you can fly on Southwest, you know, land at Midway, and then jump on the train, jump on the L, get to the north side, go to Wrigley Field, then go to my favorite restaurant downtown, which was Carson's for Ribs. I don't even know if it still exists or not. And then back to the airport, fly back home.
Yeah.
I don't have to deal with any of it. They have wonderful museums. The lakefront is absolutely beautiful, but it's a war zone. And because Donald Trump now is for cleaning up the cities, the Democrats have to be on the other end of it. They've got to go out and defend all this stuff.
Yeah.
J.D. Pritzker is the governor who wants to be your next president.
We have reason to believe that the Trump administration has already begun staging the Texas National Guard for deployment in Illinois. I want to be very clear on this point, and I want to speak directly to the press right now. We know before anything has happened here that the Trump plan is to use any excuse to deploy armed military personnel to Chicago. If someone flings a sandwich at an ICE agent, Trump will try and go on TV and declare an emergency in Chicago. I'm imploring everyone, if and when that happens, do not take the bait.
I would suggest that they've got a lot bigger problems in Chicago than sandwiches being thrown.
Yeah, sandwich flinging. That's his only references to food. He has to make food analogies.
He's a big guy, right? He's a big guy.
Yeah.
They got bigger questions. Roll the next video.
Okay. Is it this one?
Yeah.
So I was just checking up on Chicago this weekend just to find out, you know, how well Chicago did since their mayor and their governor want to come out against President Trump and say, we don't need you to come here and take care of, Chicago. Chicago take care of itself is what they said. So I pulled this up. This was this weekend. Do you see the number of shootings? The number of...
It says 54 shot, 7
life,
killed in Chicago. Weekend bloodbath.
It took place in Chicago and they act like that's normal. Why do the Democrats hate to see black people live? Why? Why do y'all hate to see families be able to, see their loved ones? Why do Democrats fight against it so much? It's almost like it's like a badge of honor to have high crime statistics. Look at Baltimore. Look at Memphis. Look at Chicago. Why? Why is it a problem that the president wants us to be safe? Tell me in the comments.
Yeah, he has a really good question. And when we talk to Manny Abarca, I'm going to bring this up because, he may well bring up the whole Ralph Yarl thing because, again, we've talked about that because that's what they look for. They want the narrative. Old white guy, young black kid, wrong address, yada, yada, yada. Well, I mean, every day in the news we have crime. Bad crime in Kansas City. 15-year-old kid walking right next to a park and a stray bullet takes him out. And you won't hear anything beyond today on the news about it because they just don't seem to care. And Harold Ford, who is on the 5, he's the Democrat on the 5 on Fox News Channel. I like him a lot. I wish he'd get into politics again. We have some really smart people on the Democrat side who could get in there and aren't these crazy people. And he's like, if you're a Democrat and you're leading a city and your crime stats are terrible, like Chicago, where people are getting killed nearly every day, why don't you reach out to the president and say, I need some help here. Mm-hmm. Let's work together collaboratively and then take the win.
Yeah.
What they are forced to do is to be on the other side of it and defend the indefensible.
Yeah, I mean, if they asked him for help, it would destroy their entire political career because they've built all their campaigns, they've built their entire platform on opposing him and also on being soft on crime too.
Yeah, right.
So it's not just Trump, it's the issue itself. They can't reverse on that.
Well, and we go back to the broken windows thing because when we got away from that, enforcing crime at every level, it just mushrooms. Okay, well, I got away with this. Now maybe I can get away with this. Okay, I get a slap on the hand from the prosecutor. And now the next thing you know, I've got a gun and I've killed somebody. And then it gets somebody's attention. And then it's like, we've got to do something here. Maybe if we'd done something at the very low level, it might have gone the other way for that person. Maybe an intervention would have happened and it would have been, okay, that would have been a wake-up call. And maybe they're not committing murder down the road, And then, God forbid, Donald Trump have the answer, right? Blame Trump is in the 5-play liberal playbook. You know that. We talked about that. And so is nothing to see here. And that's where Pritzker comes across. That's where a lot of these Democrats in blue cities come across. It's like, nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Bang, 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 bang. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, blame Trump. Blame Trump. Yeah. Our old pal John Kennedy. I love John Kennedy. In fact, we have 2 clips from John today, don't we?
We do, yeah.
I haven't even seen the other one. I can't wait.
Perfect.
It's like
I was hoping you didn't watch it.
I didn't watch it.
Okay.
But I did watch this one. John Kennedy, the senator from Louisiana, sums it up best, I think.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm against crime. I think most Americans are. Unless they happen to be a criminal or they happen to be like a rock, only dumber. It's also a fact that over the last 5 or 10 years, many of our major cities in America are worse. If you measure it in terms of crime and violence and education, poverty, family formation, it's easiest, not easy, but it's easiest of the problems I've just mentioned to deal with crime. And it's working. We've sent in law enforcement officials to Washington. Crime, violence is down. I don't understand Governor Pritzker's pushback. He's got a crime problem in Chicago. I mean, even the mafia is leaving Chicago because of the crime. I suspect Governor Pritzker, he seems to view random violence as preferable to having help from federal officials coming in. And I think it's probably because of his animosity toward President Trump. If President Trump came out in favor of breathing to survive, Governor Pritzker would probably hold his breath.
Yeah.
Well,
we've used that line before because that is very true. So why is Trump going after blue cities? The leadership on the left is saying he's doing it for political reasons. That's the only reason he's doing it. I think he's doing it because blue cities, as a product of their own policy, have created this. It's not happening out in the suburbs. It's not happening in the farmland. It's happening in our population centers. And I can't remember who said he should go after a red state. He has gone after a red state, Tennessee. But the problem in Tennessee is Memphis, and it's a blue city run by Democrats. So, where's the self-awareness on the left, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to see some self-awareness, which is why we've asked Manny Abarca to come on this podcast, because we like to hear the other perspective. And I guarantee you, if we end up working together, we're not going to agree on everything, but maybe we can agree on some things, and maybe that's okay too. So he's going to be our next guest. First, we want to tell you about Royal Roofing and Solar. Okay? Good to know the health of your roof. Do you know the health of your roof? We're about to change seasons again. If you don't know what your roof looks like before a storm, how in the world can you provide to your insurance company the damage is from a recent storm, right? Insurance companies, they've tightened the guidelines too. You need to know that, because if somebody goes door to door and they say, hey, we can get you a new roof from your insurance company, don't buy it. Get somebody that you trust. And for me, it's Austin Watterson and the great folks at roofedbyroyal.com. That's the website, roofedbyroyal.com. They did my house. They've done a lot of folks out in eastern Jackson County, and they'll do yours as well. So give them a call, 816-540-7057. Get Austin and his team on your roof and let him show you. Sometimes a roof just wears out and you need a new roof. And the insurance company is not going to pay for that. But you might get lower insurance rates because you get the right roof on your house. So it could all balance out. And Austin will take you through the traps on that. Roofedbyroyal.com, 816-540-7057. And then you go have a celebratory pizza, because nothing is better for a celebration than a pizza. Funhouse Pizza, 2 locations, 50 Highway in Lee Summit, 7 Highway in Blue Springs. We are going to head back to, and I think we're probably going to do the Blue Springs location, and it may well tie in with the official, quote-unquote, launch of my campaign for Jackson County Legislature. Everybody's been asking me on the campaign side, when are we going to get rolling? When are we going to get rolling? There are steps you have to take when you go through something like this. I don't even file officially for the position until February.
Oh, wow.
So we got a time on to get that done. But we want to get a big organization together, folks who are going to help me go door to door in eastern Jackson County. And we're going to fundraise as well, because it's going to take money to get all this done.
Fundraise?
Exactly, at Funhouse Pizza.
See what I did there?
I do. Jim Dingman's going to help out with that too, because he's a great guy, and I know he's going to support what we're going to do. So we'll give you a lot of lead time on this on the Facebook page and upcoming episodes of the podcast. If I had to guess, I would say sometime in October. I think that's when we normally do the fall thing at Funhouse anyway. But this time we'll concentrate on Blue Springs, because that is in the 5th Legislative District. So it all ties together. Funhouse Pizza, 50 Highway, Lee Summit, 7 Highway in Blue Springs. Great pizza, great atmosphere. Go see Jim Dingman and make sure you tell him you appreciate him being part of Dale Carter's America, the podcast.
Tremendous people.
Now we're ready for our next guest. We're on with Manny Abarca from the Jackson County Legislature. He represents District 1, which is essentially the downtown urban core, right, Manny?
Yep, all the western side of Kansas City, Missouri.
All right, there you go. And when we set you up the first time, just by way of full disclosure, I had not 100% decided to run for the Jackson County Legislature. Obviously, now that ship has sailed, and I'm going to be a candidate for District 5, which would be interesting. If you win again, or if you're going to do something else, I don't know, but the chance to work together might be interesting.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know Jeannie has served a long time, and I think that's the person you're challenging now. And may the best person win on any election. Democracy works best when there are multiple candidates.
I agree. And if I win, just so that you know, I'm more in line with Sean Smith. And Sean's been a guest on this podcast, and Sean speaks very highly of you, even though you're from different political parties. What he tells me, and you may or may not agree with this, is that 80 to 90% of the stuff that you do at the county level isn't red or blue, right or left. It's about getting things done.
It can be. It should be. I'm not sure.
Uh-oh. We lost you.
But, did I lose you?
There we go. Now you're back.
There?
Yeah.
Did I lose you?
No, we got you. We got you back. Can you hear me?
Okay. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay.
Yep, I can hear you. So yeah, about 80 or 90% of things that we do at the county are nonpartisan at all. And I think that's why Sean and I have found this place to work together so collaboratively, is because we have some common interest and goals in getting things done. And, the partisan stuff doesn't get us tied down.
So to me, it comes down to like competence, right? You want to be able to get things done, because potholes, they're not left or right. They just want to get filled.
That's right. Yeah. Potholes, parks, tow ordinances, these basic things that should be pretty easy services for us to provide seem challenging for folks who maybe don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. So from an outsider's perspective, because I'm not on the inside yet, from the outsider's perspective, it almost feels like it's the legislature versus the executive right now. Am I close?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, unfortunately, it didn't start that way, but that's how it seemingly ended up. And, I've known Frank White for several years when he was a legislator himself. And you know him as a baseball star, right? And I assumed, towing the party line, that he was a good governor, and even advocated for him when I was running myself and he was running for re-election again. And so to have this about face now may be difficult for folks to understand, but as a steward of good governance, whether that's my service on the school board or for Congressman Cleaver or my political science background, you got to call him like you see him. And unfortunately, this is not a good person to lead our government.
Well, I have a political science background too, so we'll be able to work well together. May not always agree on things, and I could get into some areas where we wouldn't agree on things. I'm a limited government kind of a guy. I think that government needs to stay in its lane, and if it gets too far out of its lane, it gets into areas where it's not doing what it should. And I'll give you an example. This is not a county issue. This is a city issue, but the city putting millions of dollars into a grocery store, which failed, should not shock anybody.
Yeah, I mean, those are complex issues, because the city unfortunately funds a lot of things with taxpayer money that many folks like and then would not participate in, like the grocery store. And so whether that's Power and Light or our stadiums or a myriad of different things, downtown housing in some ways, I think it just depends on your perspective and where you think the investment of those tax dollars are going to pay out in dividends. And some believe it's to end food deserts. Some believe it's to increase housing downtown. I think it's a preference, and for those who can get the votes, that's how it works.
Well, I get back to, I think the building block of civilization is public safety. And if we don't have public safety, we can't do anything else. And right now, if you look at the urban core, not only in Kansas City, but Chicago, Memphis, New Orleans, St. Louis, there's a public safety issue going on right now. And if we can't be safe, we can't build the infrastructure that we need, and we can't get businesses, entrepreneurs to come in and take on that business. So we have a problem. I just look at it from an outside, and I'm not really an outsider because I drive to Westport every day to go to work. I live out in the suburbs, but I drive down to Westport. I see crime. I've seen crime with my own eyes. I walked in on an armed robbery at the radio station. What in the world they thought they could steal from a radio station, I have no idea. But I walked in on an armed robbery. So where are you on crime and punishment?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's easy. Those that deserve justice should get their day in court, and justice served is justice owed there. And so I don't think that's a problem from my end. What I'd like to see from the county's perspective is a little bit more support from our sheriff's deputies of folks in Kansas City. They have a whole operation that runs for Eastern Jackson County and unincorporated, but we can help our municipalities and back them up in ways that if they have needs, we can be there with our tax dollars. Mine from Kansas City, Missouri, pay for the same sheriff's deputies as anyone in unincorporated. This concept that the county can only serve one population, I don't believe is true. And so that's an area where I think we can definitely have a little bit more security and safety, is activating those divisions. Certainly our new jail is going to be a holding facility. I think many had argued in the initial phases that what the number should be based upon the realities of our system. And right now we're building a brand new jail that's the same size as our current one. And so there's challenges right there. And that was something that was proposed by this county executive and the legislators passed. And so there's a lot of opportunities to solve those crimes, but I'm also a fan of preventing some of those things by making sure that we have common sense reforms in place to keep people safe. I mean, at the ATV ordinance, to make sure these folks aren't abusing automotive vehicles and other apparatuses to commit crimes and get away and elude the police. And some of these common sense nuisance things seem pretty easy for us to address.
You had a gun ordinance that went through. Talk a little bit about that, because, I mean, where I come from, the gun is the tool, the crime is the crime. And when you pass something that takes away the ability for 18-year-olds to 20-year-olds to have firearms, I get what you were trying to do there. At least I think I get what you're trying to do there. But, if I go into the Army or the Marines, I can have a gun at 18. If I want to go hunt out in Eastern Jackson County, unincorporated areas, I can have a rifle or something like that. And of course, there's the constitutionality issue of it. Where are you at on that, and how do you think that helps?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I don't think guns deserve more rights than humans. And so the idea and fetish of some that the Second Amendment is this end-all be-all that should eliminate the opportunity for us to regulate common sense reforms to keep children safe in schools and in churches, I think that's not something that I can agree with at all. Yeah. But the reality that many folks, and I think now we're up to 60% nationally, believe that some reforms can keep people safe and have in the past, whether that's background checks or making sure that we have requirements for locks when you're safe storage rules and things like that can be very helpful. I think a lot of times what we're seeing in Kansas City, at least, as I've talked to law enforcement, is people who are leaving guns in cars that are not stored correctly being broken into and then being used as methods of crime. And so, again, that you're right, is that it is a tool of crime, but armed robbery doesn't happen unless there's an arm. And so I think that's a component here that we can also address just as much as we can allow for the sportsmanship. And that ordinance did allow for sportsmanship, did allow for those in the military to possess those firearms and make those abilities for trainings and such. And so, those provisions were included in that legislation. I think what happened is our own general counsel, which I have come to learn not to depend on for nearly anything, missed an opportunity there to separate these from the 18 and 21 automatic provision to the common sense reform of, not arming minors with handguns.
Yeah, well, where I come from on this, and this goes back a long way. It's an old NRA commercial, and you should know about me. I'm not a gun guy. I don't have one in my house. Sure. That's not where I come from. I come from common sense solutions to things. And when you pass legislation like this that may be well-intentioned and may be common sense, criminals don't follow the law by nature of who they are. They don't follow the law. And there's an old NRA commercial where politician A goes in front of the lectern, pats themselves on the back and says, "We've just passed this common sense gun law." And then it pans out to a criminal eating a TV dinner, and he's just laughing his ass off because he's a criminal. He's not going to observe the law. All you're going to do is catch up some people who are like, okay, what's the new law? I got to follow the law. And they're not the problem.
Yeah, well, it just depends, right? I mean, that person's a good common sense person until they make a decision that ruins somebody's life or their own. I think you can look up north to Clay County to see that individual, formerly incarcerated individual, passed away for shooting somebody who was at the wrong door. So I think as you have access and ease, there's opportunity for mistakes. And I think that's something that, a lot of folks are concerned about. As we navigate the situation, folks want to see the justice for my friend Lisa Lopez Galvin at the parade, where she was sadly gunned down.
Right.
And now these folks are claiming that they're self-defense, and so will charges come because of that? Well, I don't know that those should be claimed in that situation, right? Somebody drew a gun, somebody else did, and they didn't shoot either of each other. They shot people around them. Yeah. And so, what is the responsibility and liability for justice in that scenario where maybe what could seem as a common sense defend your property and your person is used and extrapolated by the same criminals that may be laughing at home when we try to regulate. Yeah. Equally, law enforcement get to charge folks now with additional crimes where in the past they hadn't. And I think that's where an additional element came, is that law enforcement were saying, hey, we see youth minors with large guns all over the place, but we can't address them because there's nothing on the books that stops us. And I think that's where the intent here was focused. And you're right. I mean, the intent and the execution may be two different things, but we should be able to not just sue each other and figure this out in common sense reforms and not just, hey, this is the law now, end all be all. And that's why we even amended it. And so I think there's always a solution if we're willing to work through it and not just pick up lawyers and go at it. That's a waste of everyone's money and time.
You brought up the Ralph Yarl case, and that brings me to another question, because it feels like there are folks on the left who are always looking for that narrative. Old white guy shoots black guy who comes to the wrong house. And yet, almost every day in the news, and I do the news on KFKF, almost every day, and today was not an exception. Today, we had the story of a 15-year-old young man who was shot by a stray bullet just walking through a park. And black-on-black crime happens nearly every day in Kansas City, and it seems like nobody talks about it. It's like we wait for the narrative to come along for, Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson to come to town and beat their chest because old white guy, shot the kid that came to the wrong door. But where is the outrage on every day? It seems like we've got black on black crime, and it's happening in your district.
Yeah, so it's happening all over the place, and it's unfortunately not just black on black crime, it's crime in general, and the statistics show that. In fact, I can't even generically look for Latino on anything crime because categorically we're not registered within the census process, so I can't even pull my own data in that sense, and that could be its own atrocity here that folks are ignoring. Mm-hmm. But there is a reality that there are certain emotional and trauma-informed positions that put people in an area that are more opportune, unfortunately, to experience crime. And whether that's because of upbringing, the suppressions that have gone on, or oppressions for decades and generations by some over others, the realities is we have to focus on that. And instead of focusing on more cops, maybe we focus on more mental health resources. Maybe we focus on more opportunities, investing in workforce development components, and not just the enforcement arm of locking folks up, whether they're black, brown, yellow, or green. There has to be more investment in the proactive solution, less focus on just lock them up and go away. They're not going away. No one's going away. The reality of the actions must be diverted in some way, either proactively by investments in our school systems or on the other end in the reform side. And so I think there's opportunity all over, but I can't acknowledge and say that black on black crime is the only thing we need to focus on. I will say that we've got a criminal in the White House right now that's doing a lot of crime that we can focus on, but we can't compare apples to oranges here.
Okay, well, that opens up another door, doesn't it? Let me ask you about that, because he's under his constitutional authority. He has executed the guard in Washington, D.C. Well, it is under the Constitution. Chicago could be next. New Orleans could be next after that. I don't know where that sits constitutionally. We'd have to talk about that. But, given what's happening in Kansas City, if the president called and said, hey, I want to help, I want to bring in some folks to clean it up, what would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I think to what end? Because what we've seen is the nationalization of a lot of different services, whether that be the Department of Justice at all to respond to an alleged border crisis in Kansas City, or the National Guard going and sweeping up parks in Washington, D.C. Hey, we have these folks that are enlisted. The National Guard, for example, is not enlisted to go clean up parks, and while they're willing to do it, I'm not sure that that's addressing the issue as much as showing a hand of favoritism and crime and punishment reaction than it is solving crime. I don't think crime went down in these places. And in fact, I think California has successfully sued in federal court to challenge his authority constitutionally, whether or not he can call them for whatever reason he wants. And so I think the Constitution is something that the president is not following in any way. He's using it, and his advisors are using it to justify his actions that have currently erode our democracy. So I think that's a big concern, is that if he's going to call the National Guard, I would want him to respond to something that defends their authority, and not just to put people on street corners and hold big military weapons to try and scare people. That doesn't solve anything in the long run.
Well, we'll see. I mean, to be determined on that. What was I going to ask you next? Because there's a couple other things I want to cover. I know we've covered a lot on crime and punishment and all that. You sent a letter to Governor Kehoe when the tax assessments came out on businesses in particular. And when I look at the tax assessment thing, I wonder what is the end goal of all of that? Because the guy who bought the house right across the street from me in Blue Springs, when they put some lipstick on the pig for the house and all that, and then he got the tax bill and he said, I can't afford to live here. So it went right back on the market. And to your point, when you reached out to Governor Kehoe, businesses now have gotten these bills. I mean, this seems like the end goal might be we want to force people out of their homes. We want to force businesses out of their locations. And that doesn't seem smart long term.
No, I would agree wholeheartedly that long term, this is not a good solution for advancing Jackson County in any stretch. And you're 100% right. As we squeeze the small businesses out of our communities, we're going to see the reciprocal reaction from homeowners. Right? You don't have those small businesses that you love, and in my area, Westport and Waldo, those small businesses dry up and leave. You want to move to a community that has those resources. And so I think for Frank White, his strategy with his scheme here is to get as much money of the 7% as possible by driving up the total top end numbers, and hope that saves the short term of whatever he's trying to do with it. Right now, he's still stockpiling money. I mean, so it's not as if we even need it for things. And so it is a short term strategy that makes no sense to me, which is why I had no problem working with Sean and others calling for reforms from Republicans to Democrats. We need to do it now, and we need to protect small businesses in the commercial assessment process, because they are truly being ripped off by these hundreds and thousands of % of increases in areas that don't need it.
Did you get any response from the governor?
Unfortunately not. I actually talked to the governor shortly after sending the letter, and he welcomed it. So it's a good opportunity for me to follow back up now that we've got special session going on. And I likely will be in Jeff City at some point. Okay.
Where are you on the Frank recall vote?
In terms of voting, I think I was like number 6 or 7 in signing the recall petition. So I support the recall wholeheartedly. I think that is the only solution right now that we can see for dramatic change, because Sean and I have tried nearly everything else. And there's no end to the madness here at Jackson County. The maniacal actions of he and his minions at this county have ruined things for a while. So we need some direct leaders that are ready to take on the challenge to fix everything that he's broken.
Well, under the charter, if he is recalled as a Democrat, your party basically would fill that in the interim until the election. So what does the future look like if he is recalled? Is that something you're interested in? Somebody else in your party? What do you know?
Yeah, so what I'm hearing now is there are 3 real candidates, right? So there's Phil Lavoda, I think Dan Tarwater, and Duran McGee are all interested in that position. And the challenge is who's going to bring the longest term change within the year and a half roughly that's left to do it. And so I'm having those conversations with those individuals to understand what their strategy is ongoing, what is their 60, 90-day plans that they're putting in place to see what's going to ultimately yield for the best outcome. And that includes culture changes in Jackson County with our employees and our outward facing operations. I just heard today somebody was yelled at Board of Equalization, trying to get them down and to provide relief for seniors that were there begging for their own homes that they've owned for years and decades, I'm sure. And so it's that level of government response that I want to see from our executive, and then the mere presence, right? I mean, Frank White has been to one legislative meeting this year, and we meet nearly every week. So it's that kind of stuff that are the bare minimum, and the larger things are, where are we at with ARPA? What are we going to do with those funds? What is our 5-10-year strategy at the county?
Right.
I came from the school board at Kansas City Public Schools, and I can gladly and thankfully say they are more prepared than Jackson County, and that reality is scary in itself. I love KCPS, but the planning and the strategic motions that they're ongoing, we have none of that. We're acting in response, and God forbid there's an emergency. I mean, we turned on tornado sirens in Kansas City at this last major storm, and there was no warning. And so when I ask who's the leader of that process, a former English teacher and former attorney is the emergency manager by de facto. So, I mean, we're operating here not like a true government.
Well, the county, I would say, kind of needs an enema, and I think you would agree with that.
100%.
So, as we move forward, and I don't know what you know about me, but on this podcast that we started 4.5 years ago, very early into the process, I looked at the county, and I've lived in Jackson County for 30 years. I've lived in Blue Springs the entire time I've lived here. And to me, I look at the county, and it's like you've got the suburbs and the unincorporated area, and you've got a city. And it doesn't really fit together as puzzle pieces. So I started asking the question, has anybody ever looked into separating this county into two entities? We have two courthouses, Independence and Kansas City, and it turns out that there was an effort at one point to do that, and there's historical precedent. You probably know this. St. Louis in 1876, the city basically kicked out the county. So the reason I'm running, Manny, is because I came to the conclusion that that's going to be a really, really hard process, and it might be better to try and fix everything from the inside, working with people who I might not even agree with 100%, but maybe we could fix it from the inside. Have you thought about at all the possibility of separating into two counties and what that might look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a convenience that now the eastern part of the county can say they want or can consider. But I think going back and being a bit of a historian, looking at the historical origins of kind of why this county was incorporated the way it was to provide resources from the then metropolis of Kansas City out east, right? We spent a lot of money in our historical foundation investing in our lakes and our infrastructure and our roads and our bridges out east.
Yeah.
And now parks, definitely. And now things have seemed to reverse a bit, right? You have a larger tax base, I think, in our suburbs than you probably do from one or two municipalities on the western edge. And you're seeing this void of Kansas City support, right? My district, I don't have one. I take that back. I have one Jackson County park that has, I think, 2 benches and a large green space for a dog park. That's hardly any services for the 140,000 plus people I represent when we've got areas that have lakes and golf courses and softball diamonds that is competing in some areas with the municipal services that are equal or greater than that in some of our other cities. And so I think together is the only way we're able to survive because as we look at emergencies, as we look at hopefully we don't have to do a pandemic again, but health scares that cover across municipalities, that's when I think we can see the time where we need more collaboration and less individualism. And so, there's definite opportunities as I go to these national conferences and see these other communities that are doing great things from the county level that the cities are benefiting from, right? And so, I mean, I would argue that we have a lot of more opportunity if we fix this than we do if we cut it apart, because one can look at Wyandotte County and say, hey, that was a solution. How has it gotten better? You still have an eastern-western edge now that's developed and an eastern side of Wyandotte County that's still underdeveloped. And so I don't know that as a county it solves anything breaking it apart or putting it together.
Well, I think you're a really bright guy, and I would look forward to working with you if I win the election. And if I don't, I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll go in a different direction. I don't know.
Yep.
But, and just for my perspective, I kind of know Dan Tarwater. I don't know the other gentleman, but Phil Lavoda has been a frequent guest on this podcast. I think he's very bright, and I think he's somebody, from your party who could get in there and probably fix some things pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we're looking for, somebody who can jump in and know what they're doing, how they're doing it, and get things moving, because we don't have much time to fix things before we're in critical error point. We've got nearly $1 billion of deferred maintenance at the county. Our hospital system just sent us a letter saying they have a building that's literally collapsing out at Lakewood, and we have no response from the county executive. And I'm not used to that level of executive leader just being absent, right? I mean, not even present. Nevertheless, sharing information and guidance and strategy collaboratively to move forward.
Well, to be continued. I enjoyed this discussion, and I think we're going to meet, and we'll keep talking and all that, and we'll see where things go in 2026. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Anytime, I'm glad to come back.
You bet. Take care.
All right. See ya.
To be continued with Manny Abarca and also Sean Smith, and we've had other legislators on. We've had Jeannie Lauer on, who right now, if the election were held today, I'd be running against her. I'm not sold that she's going to run, but that's her decision to make moving forward. Christian Brothers, they'll take care of you. They'll take care of your vehicle. We are keeping our cars longer. And if you're going to keep your car longer, you got to keep it maintained. If you take care of your car, it's going to take care of you. And Tim Porter, who runs the Independence location of Christian Brothers Automotive, has been taking care of my vehicles for years. And when he fixes something on your vehicle, you get 3 years, 36,000-mile warranty, whichever benefits you the most. They're going to cover repairs with a nationwide warranty for whichever takes longer, time or miles. Right? You're covered until both 3 years and 36,000 miles has been reached. And they work on every vehicle you can imagine. They've got a complimentary courtesy shuttle. When they check you in, you just feel like you're being taken care of, because they're going to walk you through everything they're doing every step of the way, and then you're going to get a health report after the fact on your vehicle. That's why nothing is better for my cars than Christian Brothers Automotive in Independence. They're at 19600 East US Highway 40, and you can call and make an appointment. Make sure you tell them that you heard about them here on Dale Carter's America, 816-675-4587. Christian Brothers, and they're all independently owned and operated. Tim Porter is a great family man. I've known him for a very long time. In fact, he's taken care of my family a little bit because 2 of my kids have worked for him. He is a great first boss.
That's right.
So when your little guy gets a little bit bigger and wants to get his first job, go see Tim Porter.
Okay.
Tim will take care of you. Christian Brothers Automotive, thanks for being part of Dale Carter's America. Michael Schroer, too. Michael's out there selling houses left and right. And it's amazing to me, the ones that I see sold on are the starter homes. So that gives me hope for the future, because people, it seems, are moving from the apartment lifestyle to getting their family started. You talk about that a lot, that you don't like legal immigration because you want to grow it from the inside, right?
Yeah.
We got to do that. Got to grow it from the inside. That means, you got to get married. You got to start having kids, get yourself a bigger house. And that's where Michael Schroer comes in. All right. He's with RE/MAX Elite in Lee's Summit. Terrific guy. He'll take care of you both on selling your home and finding your next home. And then we'll put up a big old slide at Dale Carter's America that says sold, because that's what Michael Schroer does. He's getting things done. 816-373-8400. That's the phone number you can reach him at RE/MAX Elite in Lee's Summit. His cell is 816-520-9342. And his email address, michaelschroer56@gmail.com. And you spell Schroer, SCHROER. Michael Schroer56@gmail.com. Next segment, I'm kind of calling weird stuff, because there's a lot of weirdness going on in the world right now. There was a video circulating showing somebody dropping things from the residence level of the White House. You can go ahead and roll that video. And again, this is a reason why you need to have the video.
Audio on or no?
Yeah, I guess. Sure, why not? Because somebody's shooting this video from across the street. And if I'm remembering DC well, because you can see the old executive office building.
The audio off. It doesn't.
Yeah, you can see the old executive office building on the other side. So this is the east side of the White House, and the Willard Hotel where I've stayed kind of overlooks that. So that's probably where that shot is coming from. Peter Doocy asked Trump about it, and it was classic Trump. Did you see the press conference?
I did not. Let's watch it together. Here we go.
So there is a video that is circulating online now of the White House where a window is open to the residents upstairs and somebody is throwing a big bag out the window. Have you seen this?
No, that's probably AI generated. Actually, you can't open the windows. You know why? They're all heavily armored and bulletproof.
So that's a fake video?
Well, it's got to be, because I know every window up there. The last place I'd be doing it is that, because there's cameras all over the place, right? Including yours. No, but every window, I've never seen a window that's, in fact, my wife was complaining about it the other day. She said, love to have a little fresh air come in, but you can't. They're bulletproof. And number one, they're sealed. And number two, each window weighs about 600 pounds. You have to be pretty strong to open them up. No, that has to be, where was the window? Let me see.
He's going to call Pete up, and he wants to see the phone. Showing him the video.
Which is the window?
It looks like this is on the 15th Street side, I think. Yeah. So right here.
Yeah, those windows are sealed.
Yeah, those windows are
they're all sealed. You can't open them.
Can't open those.
It's the kind of thing they do. And one of the problems we have with AI, it's both good and bad. If something happens really bad, just blame AI. But also they create things, it works both ways. If something happens that's really bad, maybe I'll have to just blame AI. But there's truth to it, because I see so many phony things. I saw something as I was growing up, from the time I was a baby till now. I said,
right?
Who did that? It was AI generated. So it's a little bit scary, to be honest with you. But those windows are all very heavily sealed.
Yeah. Well, the White House has confirmed that the trash bag was tossed by a contractor doing maintenance. So the good news here is that the windows do open, right? So Melania can get some fresh air.
That's right.
Coming through the White House. Also under the category of weird stuff, the rumor swirling over the weekend that Trump was very sick or even dead.
Yeah.
The liberal wet dream. Okay, so you may recall before Labor Day weekend, he had like a 3-hour cabinet meeting, right, that was open to the press. The press was there standing on their feet. Some of them were like about to fall over. And then the meeting continued for an hour afterwards. And then the rumors started swirling. Well, we haven't seen Trump. Trump must be very ill. Trump must be dead. Right?
Yeah, they said he had a stroke or something.
Yeah. And then, of course, he emerges, and he goes out and he plays golf. And then they bitch about that. Oh, he was out playing golf Labor Day weekend, right?
I wish I was playing golf this weekend.
Yeah, no doubt. So the fact whether he's sick or dead would be the liberal wet dream. I got a photo here.
Oh, yeah,
that you can click on. Oh, you already put it up?
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No public events scheduled this weekend. Yeah. Biden put the lid on for like months at a time.
Yeah. He would go to Rehoboth Beach for like 3 weeks and just sit. I just gotta read my book, man. Come on.
And then there's Tim Walz. Tim may well have awakened with an erection. Maybe for the first time in a long time. Check out this video.
Here we go.
Morning, and you doom scroll through things, and although I will say this, the last few days you woke up thinking there might be news. Just saying. There will be news sometime, just so you know, there will be news. You get up in the morning and
What is up with this guy?
He's real weird, man.
He is really weird.
Actually, he looks pretty good in this picture. Like he's maybe lost some weight or something.
Yeah.
He kind of looks slim. Maybe he's on a new diet or workout regimen or something.
Yeah, I want you to think about it in an alternate universe. Barack Obama has been wounded in an assassination attempt. Somebody else took a shot at him. And then down the road, some Republican governor goes on TV and says, oh, we haven't seen old Barack all weekend long. Maybe that's good news. Maybe one day we're going to get the news that he's been taken out. Can you imagine the outrage?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And, Jimmy Kimmel, I looked at a clip on this. I didn't even put it in the notes here. But Jimmy Kimmel and who's the other guy that just got canceled? Stephen Colbert. They were as unfunny as ever. making fun of Trump and what's going on with the weekend and all that. But then he emerged, and then he goes out and he plays golf, and he's back to work, and he's doing all these things. And that one news conference that he had was probably longer than the combined news conferences that Joe Biden did in 4 years as president. And nobody seemed on the left to be concerned about that at all.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's definitely not shy with the press. He gets off the plane. He goes and talks to the press for a couple minutes. He gives press conferences. I think he likes it.
He does like it. He likes the banter back and forth. But then what happens is they ask him about something from left field, right? And he gives an opinion because he's got an opinion about everything.
Right.
And if it's something out there, they're going to run with that.
Right.
You know, never mind the fact that you asked the question, he gave his opinion, but that's the news of the day.
Right. Yeah. They did that remember back in COVID when they said the line from the left was that Trump wants to inject bleach into people.
Yeah.
Because they asked him about some question about like disinfecting or something like that. And he was kind of just speculating, going off the cuff, you know, like perhaps we could from the inside, you know, do some kind of cleaning, right? He's just, you know, shooting from the hip, you know. They take it and run with it.
Here's my other favorite clip of the day, other than John Kennedy. Maxine Waters, again, she's been in Congress for 100 years, right? She's been there forever, and she was ready to declare him unable to be president in her own kind of weird way. We've talked a lot about the Constitution and how it works, the articles and the amendments and all that. See if you can pick up on what my problem is with Maxine Waters in this clip.
As far as I'm concerned, we have to move very aggressively. It is not about, you know, lingering and trying to think that maybe the courts will help us. I want, even though I know it may not happen, the cabinet that he's appointed, a bunch of his sycophants who probably won't do what I would recommend. It is time to call for Article 25 of the Constitution of the United States of America to determine his unfitness, to determine that something's wrong with this president. And I would suggest that we move very aggressively to talk about the danger to this country and to our democracy and not play around with this, because this is absolutely one of the most destructive things that this president could do.
Okay, stop the tape right here, because the bald black chick in the upper right-hand corner, I don't know her name, she's about to throw a lifeline to Maxine.
Congresswoman Wasserman Schultz, I mean, your take on this, because I think it's jarring to hear Congresswoman Waters say it's time for the 25th Amendment, but I mean, presidents have been impeached for much less.
Yes, they have. That's the end of that clip. So, yeah, she threw the lifeline.
I'm just going to play this clip again, but just on mute.
Yeah.
She looks like she's held together by like duct tape and Elmer's glue, you know?
Well, she's been in Congress, like I said, for 100 years.
Is she like 90? Like how old is she?
I don't know. You'd have to Google that, but she's got to be up there. Now, she calls for this, but see if you can find the clip. I know you can't. About when Joey was wandering off. Remember when he
Maxine is 87 years old.
She's an old 87.
Yeah.
When Biden was wandering off at the NATO thing, she didn't say anything, right? Now, make no mistake about this. I want to be 100% clear on this. If we give the Democrats the House in 2026, H.R. 1 will be the third impeachment of Donald Trump. Doesn't even matter why. Fill in the blank. As bald black chick in the clip there said, presidents have been impeached for less. Yeah, you impeached Trump because he made a phone call that 15 people were on. It's not like he was trying to hide anything.
Right.
You impeached him for what happened on January 6th, even though if you listen to the speech he gave, he did not incite the riot. But you impeached him anyway. And he'd already lost the election and was on his way out, but you impeached him anyway because the presidents have been impeached for less. So just fill in the blank why. And just know that if we vote Democrats back into the House in 2026, that will be the first bill that they pass, and that will consume our government for the final 2 years of Donald Trump's term. So
I found that this is the clip, right? The bold Biden clip.
Oh, yeah.
We'll take a little trip down memory lane here.
Yeah. all the leaders are there, and Joe's just going to like wander off.
Okay.
Look at that. Where's it going? I don't know where it's going. Somebody better get him.
Did I smell chocolate chip ice cream? Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Where?
Come back, Mr. President. We're over here to take a picture. I think this is the one where he has to put on the aviators, too. Here they go. He's got the aviators.
Oh, yeah. Cool guy.
Top Gun.
Oh, yeah.
And really, I mean, I know Maxine is like, on her way out one way or another, right?
But 87, man. That's crazy.
Read the Constitution.
God bless her.
Understand the difference between the articles that set up the government and the amendments that kind of steer the country along the way throughout our history. They're going to say, oh, she's old, she slipped up. Time to get out, right?
Yeah.
And the redistricting update in Missouri, red states catching up to what the blue states have already done. And I still think, we did a whole segment on this before, I just think it's the epitome of hypocrisy. So they get all these illegals to come in, then we do a census which counts people in the country, not citizens, and then the blue states gerrymander the hell out of every state that they control. And then they have the audacity to put a bill in Congress to say, we should stop gerrymandering. And no Republicans vote for it. See, we wanted to stop it, and the Republicans wouldn't vote for it. And so here we are. Republicans in the state of Missouri are trying to redistrict here, and already they have been sued by the NAACP and two individuals who say that it's unconstitutional and we're not required to redistrict until after the 2030 census. That's not the point, by the way. We're not required to redistrict, but we can redistrict.
Right. Here's part of the governor's announcement video. He shows a little mini map here.
I'm prepared to show you what we believe that map looks like. This is the Missouri First map.
So I would have to zoom in on that. I can find a picture of it, but
well, what they've done is they've divided the 5th district like right down 71 Highway, and they've picked up a lot of western Missouri or eastern Missouri to go along with it. And essentially, it's going to make it very difficult for Emanuel Cleaver to hold on to that seat.
Here it is.
If you'd have to zoom in to see what I'm talking about there in Kansas City.
All the way on the western side right there.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and it's going to make it a little more challenging for Mark Alford in the 4th district as well. But it certainly doesn't have the same kind of gerrymandering that we see in the state of Illinois right next to it, where we've shown you the Illinois 13th that comes down to get, some black folks in East St. Louis, right, and then goes up in an arc.
The whole length of the state, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And if Pritzker says he's going to do more, like we've said before, he could divide up Chicago, run it all the way down the eastern edge of Illinois to get southern Illinois, which I know is very bright red, but get enough of the blue area of Chicago, you could create even more Democrat districts. So you're probably not done with your redistricting. To be continued, we'll see what happens with this in Missouri, but Donald Trump is behind this, and it's all about what's going to happen in 2026 and trying to hold on to that slim majority in the House of Representatives. So there you go. Bob Watson, he takes care of red and blue alike. He takes care of Missouri and Kansas alike. Even though we got the big border war coming up over in Columbia this weekend, I know he's going to be rooting for the Tigers, but he'll take care of the Jayhawks as well with the best insurance you can get, and that is State Farm. And a team behind you so that when you need to use that insurance, you make that one phone call, you get somebody in the office, and they're on your side from start to finish. 7th and Main in Blue Springs is where the office is, 816-229-7878. Auto, home, life. Bundle that home and car insurance and save. Like a good neighbor, Bob Watson and State Farm is there. Over 30 years, my insurance agent, the entire time I've lived in Missouri, and he's been taking care of folks here in the Kansas City area for 51 years. CBS has not learned its lesson. After they had to settle with Trump on their selective editing of Kamala Harris from 60 Minutes, where they made her sound somewhat cogent from one of her word salad answers, we have Kristi Noem. And you may have to play this video a couple of times and watch it, because on one side you're going to see where they made the cut, And then it continues. We have the unedited as well that did not air on CBS.
And the one thing that we will continue to do is to make sure that he doesn't walk free in the United States of America. This individual was a known human smuggler, a MS-13 gang member, an individual who was a wife beater, and someone who was so perverted that he solicited nude photos from minors. And even his fellow human traffickers told him to knock it off. He was so sick in what he was doing and how he was treating small children. So he needs to never be in the United States of America, and our administration is making sure we're doing all that we can to bring him. And the one thing that we will...
That's all you saw was the very beginning of this.
Yeah.
She's talking about
so
Abrego.
They cut out all of the bad stuff about the guy.
Abrego Garcia is who they're talking about.
Right.
And CBS has no interest in any of those facts. They just wanted to hear her say the beginning of the cut, which sounds bad.
Right. Get rid of him.
By itself.
And then they cut to the anchor saying, a friendly Maryland man with children.
Maryland man.
He shops at the grocery store just like you do.
Yeah, exactly. So you want to play it again? Do you think we made the point?
Yeah, I think we made the point.
Okay.
They can pause and go back if they want.
Well, then I get to unwrap my early birthday present. September 27th is my birthday, in case you're wondering. The John Kennedy clip.
Yeah, this is almost 4 minutes long, but I think it's worth watching the whole thing.
I have not seen it.
Okay, here we go.
Mr. President, this is a photograph of the alien from the movie Alien. This is what you could end up looking like if you eat some of the raw, frozen shrimp being sent to the United States by other countries. Now, let me tell you what I'm talking about. In late
this guy's
August,
just got to sit here with a
the FDA found
straight face
that raw frozen shrimp from Indonesia was being sold in Walmart. Specifically in Walmart stores in Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Missouri, Mississippi, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Texas, and West Virginia. It was being sold under the Walmart label called the Great Value label. If you eat it, how could you end up looking like the alien in the Alien? Because the shrimp was radioactive. I kid you not. It had a radioactive isotope in it called cesium-137. It'll kill you. Even if it doesn't turn you into the alien if you eat this stuff, I guarantee you'll grow an extra ear. That was bad enough. Obviously, the FDA issued a recall. A few days later, it happened again. The FDA and NOAA, which I'll talk about in a second, found that there were 26,460 packages of shrimp cocktail and 18,000 bags of frozen cooked shrimp being sold once again at Walmart and at Kroger's throughout the United States.
It's not me farting.
Containing the same radioactive isotope. How could this happen in America? This is unconscionable. I'll tell you how. Because that shrimp from other countries, which don't abide by the same rules that we abide by in America, which if you eat it will may turn you into the alien, and at a minimum will cause you to grow an extra ear. It's not being inspected.
That's enough.
Well, it makes me glad that I don't eat anything out of the water.
Yeah.
I'm not a fish guy, not a seafood guy, not a shrimp guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you had John Kennedy, the alien, and shrimp cocktail on your bingo card, you're a winner.
I'd love to get him on the podcast sometime.
Oh, yeah.
We've played so many clips from him over the years. Just love the guy. He's always good for something. Yeah. So until next week, we'll continue down the road with Dale Carter's America, my political campaign in District 5 for Jackson County. A lot to cover in the coming weeks and months. Until next time, this is Dale Carter's America.
The views expressed on Dale Carter's America are Dale's and Kurt Wheeler's. They do not necessarily reflect the views of KFKF or Steel City Media. Comments can be sent to dalecartersamerica@gmail.com. Check back for weekly episodes. Subscribe, spread the word, and give us a 5-star review. Thanks for being a part of Dale Carter's America.